Today we are going to be unboxing and cooking with the brand new Strata carbon steel aluminum based stainless steel fry pan. Okay, so the Strata 12.5-inch frying pan. In previous videos that I've made about the 10-inch pan, I've gone over all the seasoning instructions that come in this absolutely fantastic book. So any Strata pan that you get has a wonderfully detailed book that will go over their specific way that they think that this is best seasoned. And I always recommend using the oven method for getting the most solid results out of seasoning carbon steel. So for the best kind of long term, but that does not mean that it's the only way. I've had good success when I am helping people learn at the beginning. People get good success from using the oven method. It's kind of an absolute foolproof way of doing it, but the stovetop works totally fine. So this pan here that is brand new and has not been seasoned, it actually looks like a stainless steel pan, front and back, but it is going to end up being wonderfully dark in the inside. I'm going to actually season this guy on the gas stove today. So I'm outside, cooking outside, and I am going to cook a sweet potato based frittata in this pan. So something starchy. I'm gonna cook a bunch of onion, and then we're gonna do something to try to create a nonstick of getting the frittata out quite easily and really kind of put it through the ringer. And I've thought that frittata is probably the one thing that's going to test it in several different ways. So we're gonna go through that, and when it's done, I'm gonna clean it up, and we are going to then do a simple fried egg and see how it stood up after we've cooked with it. So just a one and done method of the seasoning that we're going to do on the gas, the same way that Uncle Scott does it. And Uncle Scott doesn't love it when I call it one and done because he's like one and start cooking. So I get it. I just like the way that one and done sounds. So that's why I call it one and done. But we're going to do that simply on the stovetop after I take this and clean the protective oil that they put onto the pan, and then we're going to season it. But a quick note about Strata. So Strata here and this Dubois 12.5-inch pan, these guys are comparable. They're the same size pans. And the thing that I love about Strata, because I very much do love Dubois and all different high-end, especially French-made carbon steel, but what I love about Strata is that it is way lighter. So this pan here that is large, this is a 12.5-inch pan, this is 3 pounds. It basically feels like holding an all-clad 5-ply or maybe a copper core pan. It's got a bit of weight to it, but nothing like this guy here. So this is a 5-pound pan, over 5 pounds, and this is 3 pounds, and it feels a lot lighter in the hand. And so why I love to promote Strata is because of exactly this. So I'm not a paid spokesperson for Strata. Like, that's not what I'm doing by making Strata videos. The reason that I am promoting Strata and the reason that I work with Strata and why I have a discount code for their product for you and why I love to promote it so intensively is that in my 30 years of selling cookware, I really try my very best to try to get people away from nonstick. And that's why I advocate using carbon steel, I advocate using cast iron, is because you can use it forever and ever and ever. If you damage it, you can re-season it and it will go on and on and on. But the one big problem in which I've had over my entire career of really trying to sell people on using alternatives from nonstick is weight. People are like, I can't do it. I can't use a 12-inch pan in even carbon steel because it's just too heavy. I need something lighter. This is that problem solved. And that is a massive thing for me. So this, for me personally, has been a huge win because when somebody tells me they just can't deal with the weight, I haven't had a response. I'm like, okay, that's the one thing. That's my kryptonite. I can't argue over the weight issue. Now I can. I can say to people, hey, go to Strata, buy one of their pans. They work beautifully well and you won't have the weight issue. If this pan here is too heavy, then that's something we just can't get away from. But you know, people are like, oh, I love my all-clad, it works great. I wish I could have a carbon steel based or a non-stick pan that's the same weight as my all-clad. Here it is right here. So what we're gonna do now is get this guy cleaned up on the stove and we're gonna get it for its first seasoning. Okay, so I've cleaned the pan, Pan's on the heat, preheating. Got a decent sized flame going on in here. The issue with a pan of this size on any cooktop is that trying to get the sides of the pan to the same temperature as the inside of the pan so you get even seasoning can be difficult. So the larger the pan, the harder it can be on any cooked surface. That's why I do like to use an oven. It's absolutely consistent. However, being outside on this big cooktop here, we can move this pan around. We can get nice even heating. So I'm using the Cook Culture seasoning paste. You can use any sort of a unsaturated fat. Grapeseed oil, canola oil works well. So if you use a tallow or something, it works. It just doesn't harden as well. But really anything kind of works. But what I find is that a mixture of beeswax and oil works well for just getting a really nice even coat everywhere. So get that all around. And it doesn't look like anything when it goes on. And your first coat doesn't really look like anything. This will get darker and darker and darker over time. So time and cooking, even if you do it in the oven, you'll get a beautiful golden color when it comes out, but your pan will darken with use. So that's on there now. I'm just gonna let this cook away and let the pan get nice and warm. I'm not looking for a ton of smoke off here. Being that I'm outside, smoke is not a big deal. Smoke is a correlation, not a causation of seasoning. So you don't have to smoke your pans to get them to be seasoned. You get a nice, easy wisp of smoke. That'll be an indicator that you're at the right temperature, but you do not need to be bellowing smoke. Outside here, it doesn't matter. If I get it overly hot and the pan starts to darken quicker, no problem. Inside, it can be yucky and disgusting with smoke kind of filling up your kitchen, your house. People will maybe start to complain and it can just be a little bit of a problem. So inside, you don't need to. Outside, whatever. Do whatever works. So we're just gonna let this guy cook away and we'll check in a minute. Okay, so it's looking nicely seasoned. Visually it looks that way. I didn't need to make it as brown. I decided why not? I was outside. I created more smoke than I definitely would have inside. If I'd seasoned this inside, it would be about a third as golden for a totally fine seasoning. Visually, the look of it looks fantastic when you make it look golden, but you can season and it can be nearly transparent, and that is a layer of seasoning. So these are things that are a correlation and not a causation. So the brownness is not making the seasoning, it is just becoming brown as it seasons, if that makes sense. So we have this guy nicely seasoned. A quick point on the handle here. This is a hollow stainless steel handle. I've moved this pan all around the top to get it evenly seasoned, and the handle has gotten quite warm on there, but I can still pick it up. But that's warmer than I've ever had this handle before. Just a point, it's a great handle, but it has gotten hot with a lot of flame and an uneven way sitting over top of the cooking surface. So it can heat up to a point where it's uncomfortable, but it's fantastic right now. So I'm going to put in some canola oil. And we are going to cook ourselves up a whole whack of onions. So there's 4 large onions here. So we're gonna put this pan to work right away. And this looks like a ton. It is a lot. But this is all gonna cook down. As anybody who's cooked a lot of onions knows, this, as the moisture dissipates and this cooks down. So we're gonna basically jam these onions for our frittata. So we're gonna cook them and then we're gonna take them out. And then afterwards, we're gonna be cooking up this yam, and we're gonna make a yam base to the frittata, kind of like a crust that we're gonna make if we made a quiche. But we're gonna have the base to a frittata. That's not traditional, but that's what we're doing today. So I'm just gonna cook these guys down. Okay, checking in. Things are looking really good. They've reduced in size by, at least 30%, and a bunch more to go. So they're just starting to get good and soft, and the pan is doing its job very, very well. And we'll just let that cook away. Usually getting onions good and jammy takes at least 20 maybe 25 minutes. It's a bit of a process, especially with this many onions. Okay, these onions are nice and jammy. Jammy onions. So those are looking great. As you can see, they're way, way smaller than when they were. So they're probably 50% of their size, maybe even more. But usually what we would do with frittata is that we would cook maybe some other veggies or whatever, and then in that would all go with the egg mixture and into the oven. But today I'm doing things a little bit differently because my daughter, who likes eggy dishes, she likes it with some sort of a base. She would actually choose a quiche over a frittata. So I am doing something just a little bit different. I'm going to cook up this yam on the bottom. I'm gonna get it nice and tasty with some salt and garlic and pepper, and make a base along the bottom. So it's got like a yam crust on the bottom. And so that's what we're gonna do right now. Okay, so I've made a base on there with the yam. It's garlicky, it's salty. I've put some walnuts and some nutritional yeast in there, so some flavor. Now our jammy onions. I'm gonna go back on top and spread those all around. All right, so then we've got 8 eggs, salt, pepper, and half a cup of cashew milk in here. And all around that goes. Okay, now that's going to go into an oven for about 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, so this frittata has cooled nicely. It was about 28 minutes or so in a 350 degree oven and cooked well through, not jiggly whatsoever. I have never tried the yam base before. So this is going to throw another element into the stickability of it because of how starchy the yam is. But like I was saying, I wanted to add some extra texture into the frittata that I know my daughter really enjoys. So we're going to work around, see how it releases, and then cut it and serve it. All right, let's see how that comes out. All right, that's a nice, simple release. Okay, and you can see the yam on the bottom there. So now we'll do a taste test.
I like the crunchiness. Uh-oh. That's better than last time. I like it. I like the onions too.
Okay, so that went really, really well. The pan, you can see now, is a much deeper, darker brown color than it was even after we seasoned it. First time we seasoned it was quite golden. I've got some grapeseed oil on here. Last test that we're gonna do is cracking an egg on here, fry an egg, see how it goes after cooking with it. And on it is. All right, give it a little bit of time to cook there. So Strata, as I said at the beginning, I'm a big fan, and I'm a big fan because of what you get in such a wonderfully light pan. This is the first pan of its kind made. Surprisingly, nobody had decided to put carbon steel with a aluminum-based stainless steel pan before. These guys at Strata did it, and it's wonderful. So I'm stoked because it's something that I can suggest to people that they will be super, super happy with and get the right pan at the right weight. So if you want a Strata pan, I've got a coupon code that I'll put right here and in the description that is 10% off. So you can have 10% off of any of the Strata pans. And the next Strata pan that's going to be coming out, hopefully by the fall, is going to be an 8-inch pan, which is going to be a true egg pan, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. Oh, sorry. So this guy here is ready to go. Let's give that guy a flip. Ready? Oh, There we go. All right. So things are looking good. Little bit of crack though going there, but you know, it's a non-stick, beautifully seasoned, ready to go pan. So super stoked on how this guy is working. And I said, if you want one, get one. They're ready to be, well, the 10 inches are ready to ship. It's the end of August now. The 12 inches are gonna be in soon, and the 8 inches will be in after that. But use the coupon code and get you one of these fantastic pans. Any questions, any comments, throw them below. Thanks so much.